Section 1.2, classifying and storing the data. Data source. We have the population and the sample. Let me explain it with the example here. Okay, for example, we would like to collect the data for the weight of 10 years old girls in the United States, okay? So I would say this is all the 10 years old girls in the United States. Okay, we do have a lot, okay? And if we want to collect all the weight of the 10 years old girls in the United States, is it possible? Not really, right? We do have a lot. So we call this part, that will be my population. All the 10 years old girls in the United States, we call this as the populations. Since we want to collect all those data, so what we're gonna do? We will get the sample from here. We could have a different sampling methods. Maybe I would just like randomly collect this part, or collect this part. Okay, so all those, what we collect here, this is called the sample. And then of course the sample is a lot less than the population. And we call this is the subset of the populations, and this sample will represent the population at large. And actually, after we collect the sample, it will be easier to obtain the information. It will be easier to collect all the weight of the 10 years old girls in the United States. So this is the idea for population and the sample. So one more time, the population will be all the 10 years old girls in the United States. And then the sample will be just like here. This is gonna be my sample. So I just talked about the idea for the population and the sample. Let's do the first example. Suppose you want to know what the predominant hair color in your country is. You survey a random sample of 2,500 people in your country, asking them about their hair color. So first, who is the population? Who is the sample? And what data was collected? I want you guys to spend some time to work on it. Okay, let's try to work together. Who is the population? Population will be all of the people in the country, right? We want to find out the predominant hair color in the country, right? So this is gonna be my population. Who is the sample? We random sample of 2,500 people, right? We take 2,500 people from this country. So sample will be 2,500 people surveyed. What data was collected? What is our survey question? Survey question will be your hair color for each person. Okay, classifying data, variable, characteristic of the people or things. So we do have two types of variable, okay? This part, make sure you guys understand. Two types of variable. Categorical, describe a quality or class, can be numbers, but no affirmative principle. So just think about it, consists of names or label, that will be the categorical. This is the first type. Example, hair color, zip code, or letter grade. Hair color, that is labels, right? Zip code, even though they're using the number, but they don't have affirmative principle. And or letter grade like A, B, C. So this is belong to categorical. Second types, that will be numerical. Describe a quantity or measurement. So this is represent the counts or measurement. Something you will be using the counting, like how many fingers do I have? I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Examples, temperature, height, or the length. Okay, so all those data belong to numerical. For later chapters, we're gonna separate into two parts. One part will be focusing on categorical data. One part will be focusing on the numerical data. Okay, I give you guys a minute to find out the variable. This is talking about like the variable. Which one will be your numerical and which one will be the categorical? Okay, so first, the height of a bridge. Okay, this is talking about like the measurement, so that will be numerical. GPA, that will be the numerical as well, because they're using the number, and they do have arithmetic order. Letter grade, we know is categorical. Hours worked on each week, so that's something you can counting, right? Numerical. Types of the pets owned, so this is a categorical, that's a names or labels. Flower varieties planted in a garden, so that's a categorical. Good, right? Easy. Numerical data and categorical data. Okay, another example. Suppose you are interested in the crime rate and the rank of each of the 50 United States. You obtain the information in the following table. Okay, so we have a couple state here. We do have the crime rate here, and we also have the rank. So I want you guys identify which one is going to be your population, which one is going to be your sample. Variable and types. So here, which one is going to be your variable and what type is it? Is it numerical or categorical? Okay, try answer these questions. Okay, let's check the work. Okay, identify the populations. So talking about all 50 states in the United States, that will be the population. Sample. Sample, obviously, that would be this 4 states, right? These 4 states will be the sample. We randomly pick it from the 50 states. So this is going to be the sample. Okay, variables and types. Variables. So these two, the crime weights and the when will be the variable. And then think about it. For the crime weight, what types of the variable is it? Is it the numerical or categorical? This one is a numerical, and then the rank, that's a categorical, okay? What do we call the numbers in the table? So how to call these numbers? We call data. What are some things you may want to know about this info? Like question of interest, like what kind of the questions do you want to ask if you have the topic like this? I would think about how was the data collected and what are the units of the measurement. Okay, remember unit is matter. Units matter. Okay, right? Okay, storing data, the coding. Using numbers to record categorical data can make reading the data easily. So, the coding is used to help both humans and computers understand what the values of the variable represent. Like sometimes it's different from the human and the computer. For example, if I ask, did you smoke? A human say yes, and we will know that, oh, that person was a smoker, right? But for the computer, you may not want to use the yes or no to answer it. You may want to set it up like number 1 is yes, 0 will be no. Okay, that is for the computer language. For example, look at this example. Let's say I'm looking for how many females are there. So we are talking about the gender. Okay, gender will be categorical. Instead of using yes or no to answer the question in the computer, we may set it up like 0 means no, means you are male. When you put 1 means yes, you are female. Okay, so this is, even though they're using the number here, but they are still categorical data. And it will be easily for the computer if you want to count how many of them are female. So you could just sum of all those numbers in here. Okay. This is called the storing data, the coding. Okay, storing data, stat data. Data values stored in a spreadsheet format. Each row contains data for a single individual and can store many variables. Okay, this is the requirement for the stat data. Let us look at this example. Each row corresponds to one infant. So this is corresponding to one baby here. Her weight, and she is a female, and the smoking status of the mother means like her mother is not a smoker. Okay, so you could see, look at this spreadsheet format, and we do have a 3 variables, right? 3 variables can store many variables, so we do have a 3 variables. And also each row contains the data for single individual. So each row here represent one infant, second infant, third infant, and we call this as the stat data. Okay, how about the unstat data? Unstat data values are stored in 2 columns. So we only have 2 columns. Each column is a variable from a different group. So we only have 2 variables in here and can only store data for 2 variables. Info in a row does not correspond to the same individual. Okay, so we don't look at the row like this. They don't relate to each other. Okay, unlike the stat data, this is represent one single individual. Okay, so this is unstat. Okay, one more time. Unstat data, we only have two columns, two variables, and each column is represent from different group. And the row here not corresponding to each other. Okay, this is unstat data.